Greetings and salutations, friends, and welcome back. Boy, I had quite a rainy, unproductive weekend at the cabin, so decided to just go back to work. Uh, Also, so much for the weekend off. Some of you may know that I was a guest on Kevin Baker's show on Saturday night at 8 p.m. I don't know that he has posted that to YouTube, but he should be soon. And when he does, I will tweet that on my Twitter. If you're not already, you should probably follow me at Stephen Cambion, which is the best place to find all the links to Truthseekers content and my guest appearances at various places. Tonight, I thought that we would have some fun because my guest tonight is somebody that I admire and respect greatly. And some of you may not be aware, but when I first started my first show, the Midnight Hour, I reached out to like 100 people. Well, maybe 100 is a bit of an exaggeration, but I emailed everybody in UFO land and conspiracy land and called people, and almost nobody called me back. But I don't blame them. I mean, brand new show, no following. Who would lend their time to that? But I did reach out to Mr. Stan Gordon, who is an interesting guy in that, first of all, he's in my home state. Second of all, he is probably the world's leading expert on the Kecksburg UFO crash. He's been involved in that since he was literally a child. And that may be what got him started down this entire rabbit hole. So I reached out to him, and he was really nice enough to do not one, but I think it was 2 interviews that he's done on the Midnight Hour. But he has not yet done any interview here on Truth Seekers. For those that don't know, Stan Gordon has a hotline that you could call if you have a UFO or, if you have a paranormal happening, ghosts, demons, shadow people, Bigfoot, dog man, if you see cryptid creatures like a chupacabra, if you see UFOs or aliens, you call his hotline. And unlike a lot of people that I like to call right-click researchers, Stan Gordon, he goes there and he takes witness statements and he investigates the scene, much like, it should be. Boots on the ground and actual real investigative work trying to get to the bottom of some of these cases and these strange phenomenon. Pennsylvania, where I live in the United States, is apparently a hotbed of activity, both for Bigfoot sightings and other cryptid creatures and UFOs. There's an incredible amount of sightings, and Stan Gordon has been involved in investigating many of them. Now, Stan's a little old school, so we're going to do an old school phone interview. So I apologize if the audio quality is not fantastic. We're doing this the old school way. That's the way he prefers to do it. And so we'll see if we can't get him on the line. Just bear with us, friends. We're getting him on the mystery phone right now. Uh-oh. Maybe I should have called him before. Uh-oh. I hope I didn't get my signals crossed. We'll try to call him back in just a few minutes. We did have at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're both on the same time zone. And I told him that I'd be calling him at about 8:05. It's 8:06 p.m. Let's give him a few minutes, and I will try to call him right back. Otherwise, I guess we're doing open phone lines. I don't know. We'll figure something out. It's a live show, and you get it warts and all. I'm very fond of saying that. So let's see. Yeah, just bear with me, friends. Maybe something popped up and he's not home or not able to do the interview, but I didn't get a voicemail or anything. I'm going to leave him a message. Hi, Stan. It's Stephen Cambion. I'm looking to do that interview that we talked about at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time today. I'm live on air, so you know my cell phone. I'm going to fill some time. If you could call me back on my cell phone.
Hello?
Oh, there you go, Mr. Gordon.
Yes.
It's Stephen Cambion.
Oh, Stephen, okay. How are you doing today?
Good. Remember, we're supposed to do this interview, right?
I actually think it's tomorrow.
Oh, you're kidding me.
But that's okay.
No, I
Yeah.
have.
We have Monday the 15th written down.
Oh, you know what? Then I apologize. I apologize. Let's do it tomorrow. I somehow I had, for whatever reason, I just wrote down tonight, and I rushed home from the cabin to get here to do the interview. But it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather do it when you want to do it when we originally scheduled it. So I'll change the title of our show tonight, and we'll do something else for tonight. No problem whatsoever.
Okay, I just right now I'm not able to do it. I've got some
No problem. It's my mistake. It's my mistake. So I apologize. We'll do an Ask Me Anything or something like that. I'll spend some time with the live audience. It's not a problem at all. I'll see you tomorrow at 8 p.m. Eastern then.
Very good. I'll be glad to talk to you then. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Mr. Gordon.
Sure. Good night.
All right. Well, I apologize, friends. I don't know how that happened. I'm going to have to check my calendar here. But Mr. Gordon called me yesterday, and I swore that he said, I'm calling to confirm the interview for tomorrow, which would be today. So sorry we got our wires crossed. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to change the thumbnail, and I'm going to change the title of the current stream. And boy, this is live. And yeah, this is what happens when you're live sometimes. Things don't go always according to plan. So tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have Stan Gordon talking about UFOs and Bigfoot. Right now, I'm going to change this. I'm going to change this video title, and I'm going to change the thumbnail to something. I don't know. I'm just going to put Truthseekers special show. No, I don't know. Truthseekers screwed up show. Truthseekers doesn't know how to read a calendar show. I'm just going to put AMA and anything goes. All right, let's do that. And I'll change the thumbnail. We'll save that thumbnail for tomorrow. I'm so mad because honestly, I had a rough weekend and I wanted to take tonight off. I didn't really, but then I went, well, I scheduled it. And if he's willing, I got to do it here at this time. So it is what it is, friends. My apologies. This is totally my fault. He's a much more organized person than me. So I'm gonna bet that yeah, hold on. Let me look on my calendar here on my home PC. He caught me off guard because I went, yeah, I know that schedule coming up, but I didn't know it was Sunday, So it is what it is, friends. These things happen. I'm just gonna find some picture. Please bear with me for a moment, friends. Yeah, we'll find some pictures. I'll find a picture to use for the thumbnail for the time being. Not a big, huge deal. Yeah, these things happen. So, well, actually, that's the first time I ever got an interview wrong, but, stranger things have happened here. So we will change that thumbnail. I've changed the thumbnail. I've changed the title. And now here we are. So let's do this. Unidentified S4 is saying, I'm going up to my cabin tomorrow for a Bigfoot investigation. Where is your cabin at, Unidentified S4? I'd like to hear more about this. There are Bigfoot sightings. Yeah, let's talk about Bigfoot and cabins. I have a cabin, and apparently there are lots of Bigfoot sightings near my cabin. So this is one of the other reasons that I'm interested in talking to Mr. Stan Gordon, investigator and researcher into Bigfoot and many paranormal things. It's because Stan Gordon has maps of all of Pennsylvania, and he can, pinpoint where the UFO sightings in Pennsylvania are that he's been taking in on his hotline, and also where the Sasquatch sightings are. So I want to get that information from him, and then I want to go out to the areas that are getting lots of Bigfoot sightings and try my very best to see what we can see. I've got a drone that I'd like to fly in the area where the sightings are. Um, I'm working on some other things like thermal cameras and things like that, thermal imaging. I think that this would be an interesting thing to do. Even if we don't find anything, it's worthy of, let me go out to the areas where these Bigfoot sightings are taking place and see what it is. Unidentified up in the Poconos. That's where my cabin is. My cabin is in, you can look it up, Goldsboro, Pennsylvania, unidentified S4. And if you're interested in visiting my cabin when I do this Sasquatch stuff, I'd be happy to have a friend along, bring pizza and beer. We like pizza and beer at the cabin. So this is something that has been on my list of things to do for a while. I have neighbors around the cabin. Some of them found out that I do a show on strange things and UFOs and Bigfoot, and some of those people have approached me and said, "Have you heard about so-and-so 2 towns over?" And I, no. And then they would tell me this story about them seeing one person in the area of my cabin saw a family of Bigfoots. That's right, a family of them. 2 huge adults and 3 children, which, I've heard reports of childlike Bigfoot creatures, but a sighting of a whole family of them is pretty rare, I would think. So I'm going to go check out that area. If there's a whole family of Bigfoot, how do you even say that? Sasquatches? I don't know. I would reason that would be an interesting adventure. Let's go look for this family of Sasquatches and see what we find. I don't know that there is. The problem is that I don't know or think that there is any evidence of these encounters other than people's personal story and recollection of their sighting. Unidentified S4, I agree with you. He says, "Oh, they're up there 100%. Sometimes you hear them scream. It goes right through your body." I heard something like that at the cabin, but I thought it might have been coyotes. Unidentified S4, at the cabin, we have a great deal of coyotes, and they're big coyotes. I can't remember what it's called when the coyotes may be mixed with wolves, right? But in the area near my cabin, these coyotes are too big to be regular coyotes. So they're either, people say they're interbreeding with domestic dogs and with wolves. But there's not wolves in the area, so it's most likely they're interbreeding with, domesticated dogs somehow. But these coyotes in my area are big. They're the size of wolves. The few that I have seen in person, that is, struck me as being too big to be regular coyotes. Yeah, and welcome to the show is asking, what is the generic term for a family of Bigfoot? I don't know. I just don't know, right? Lord Ludicrous Plaid says, "I'm about to dive into some trees myself." Yeah. So listen, I feel dumb. I feel like a dummy for getting this date wrong. I apologize, friends, but I haven't spent a long time. For a long time now, I haven't really dedicated all my attention to the live chat for a whole show. So let's do that. Big fiddle, i.e. cash scam. Not sure what you're referencing there. You have to be more specific. We cover a lot of cash scams, right? Bernard Conkin wants to come on. No, bro. I'm not talking about weird science for 2 hours with you. You make my brain hurt sometimes. But I did see you sent me some kind of StreamYard invitation, right? And I didn't know what that was about. I was driving when I got that email or something. So Patrick Sheehan, very kind of you. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. Patrick Sheehan with a kind and generous $9.99 super chat. It says, "Question for Stephen. What's your theory as to what Bigfoot is? Giant primate or paranormal entities?" I would love to believe that there is an unknown large ape primate out there. That is perhaps one of the theories is that this Bigfoot or Sasquatch is related to Gigantopithecus. If you get a chance, well, yeah, we'll look that up. Actually, we'll look up Gigantopithecus because um, I have a thing for primates. I love if I go to like the zoo with my children. You can't get me away from the gorillas, the chimpanzees, the orangutans, or even the monkeys. I love primates. There's just something about them. And there is something called the Gigantopithecus, and it's a real creature. And many people believe that Bigfoot is somehow related or a surviving ancestor of this Gigantopithecus. I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look. This is Gigantopithecus, and they were very much like a orangutan, but they're 8 foot tall or 10 feet tall. Huge, absolutely huge. The largest primate that has been so far discovered by anthropologists, paleontologists, etc. Here's another depiction of Gigantopithecus, and we get to see here in this depiction just how much bigger it is than an average Homo sapien human, right? Very, very interesting. And since I love all, great apes, I love this Gigantopithecus. In fact, I believe that I have a poster of it somewhere, probably in my garage. It's just amazing. Here is a model somebody made of the Gigantopithecus. So many people believe that that Bigfoot, Sasquatch, the Yeti, the Yeren, whatever you want to call it, there's different names for it in all cultures. And that's something that I find it fascinating that in almost every culture on Earth, there is a name for a giant hairy man that lives in the forest, right? But I suppose that I would love it if Bigfoot really is just an unknown primate out there in the woods that we haven't captured, discovered, whatever. Um, But I would think that by now somebody would have caught one, shot one, had a body, found a body. Um, and the argument has been made that, like, well, they can't be real because nobody ever found a body. And I disagree because uh, I've seen how quickly, let's say, something like a deer is down to nothing, just completely rotted away, nothing, not even bones. I mean, the space of 2 months. There's hiking trails near the cabin, and occasionally a wild deer will just, I don't know if it's their time or what happened, but they fall over and die, and you see the carcass. And then I'm down the same hiking trail 2 months later, and there is nothing left. I mean, nature has a way of cleaning itself. So I'm not sure if the argument that we've never found any bones really is a good argument. Other people believe that Bigfoot, Sasquatches, whatever you want to call them, are not flesh and blood primate creatures. They're not just some undiscovered primate, ape, animal, whatever. They believe that there is some paranormal connection to Bigfoot and the Sasquatches, what skunk apes, Yeren, Yeti, whatever you want to call them. And some of the evidence may suggest that they are. Some people, report them literally vanishing. Even people that have good equipment like thermal imaging cameras, they're there one moment, the next moment they're gone. I have heard various reports of that, which leads me to believe that these creatures may indeed be more than just regular animals. Maybe there is some mystical or paranormal explanation, interdimensional, time travel. Some people have suggested that when you see a Bigfoot, it's because there's been some rip in space time. And what you're seeing is a creature from millions of years ago that somehow made its way into our reality for a short time and then is whisked back to its own reality. Who knows? It's an incredible mystery, though. And I've loved Bigfoot since I was a child. I've never seen one time. I was on the Appalachian Trail, and these big boulders got hurled at me and the people that I was with. And I mean, well, not boulders, but huge rocks that would be very difficult for somebody to pick up and throw that high in the air. And we didn't know what was going on. We didn't know if we were being pranked or if there were some drunk people up the mountain lobbing huge rocks at us. So we got out of the area quickly. But I remember this feeling of terror, and then I heard some kind of screaming. That didn't sound like a human screaming. It sounded like some kind of animal growling, screaming. Boy, you have never seen a group of guys, pack up a tent and run so fast in your life. And I believe that we were almost too afraid to set camp again, even after we got way far out of that area. We kept walking until almost daylight, and then we set up a camp, feeling then safe enough to sleep, right? We just walked all night, and we're all pretty terrified by the experience, right? Lord Ludicrous Plaid chiming in saying, owls sound wild, and boars can sound like a person screaming. Yeah, you're right. Wild pigs can sound like somebody screaming, for sure. TBR Street Gang says wolves eat coyotes. Yes, but there are examples when they actually have interbred. So I don't know what's going on with the coyotes near my cabin, but they're way too big to be regular coyotes. Most likely they're interbreeding with local dogs. And as you can hear, my neighbor has some big dogs, and they always decide to start barking right when I'm streaming. It's great. But I guess, compared to where I lived last, if that's the worst that happens here, I'm okay with their dogs. Chances are so low that a whole complete little species could survive in a country where everybody is strapped in the woods. Yeah, I mean, there have been various people that claim to have shot a Bigfoot, but nobody has ever produced a body. Most famously, Rick Dyer, who has been involved in at least 2 major UFO hoaxes that made their way onto CNN. Remember, Rick Dyer was the one that claimed to shoot a Bigfoot, and they were keeping it in a freezer. Turned out to be a Bigfoot costume in the freezer, and like some chicken parts or something that were supposed to be guts. That guy is, and then that guy Rick Dyer, he produced this hoax where he built a fake Bigfoot, put it in a case, and he was rolling around, charging people $5 to see the Bigfoot creature. Then he got caught. Then he said, "Oh, well, that was a replica of the Bigfoot body. I couldn't take the real Bigfoot body out." Yeah, sure. It's a really crazy story. But one of the Bigfoot stories that I love is the story of the Minnesota Iceman, which is, again, that's where Rick Dyer got the idea to put this Bigfoot in a case and run around and exhibit the Bigfoot, right? Let's exhibit the Bigfoot, right? Unidentified S4 says Sasquatch can mimic coyotes very well, I'm told. We can ask Stan Gordon more about this tomorrow. He's the expert on Bigfoot. Me, I am just a rank amateur, but I have, with almost the same passion I've had for UFOs and other paranormal things, I have digested many, many books and documentaries on Bigfoot. In fact, it was interesting when we got Hulu. I don't know if Hulu is like the ghetto for paranormal documentaries, because there's some bad documentaries on Hulu, but there's a whole lot of Bigfoot documentaries on Hulu. Just putting that out there in case you have Hulu and you like Bigfoot and have never checked. There's got to be 20, 30 documentaries on Bigfoot. Some of them are really crappily produced, but still interesting information, interesting stories to share, and things like that. I've always been on the fence about Bigfoot. Is it just like UFOs? You're just chasing shadows forever? We hear that people claim that they have Bigfoot DNA, or, they tested DNA and it came back unknown primate, but they never seem to release the actual scientific facts and scientific, like, we never get to see it. They just say these things, and that drives me crazy. Like, really? You found Bigfoot hairs and you had them test it and it came back unknown primate? who did the testing, were they qualified, what scientific methods were used to test the DNA, what did they do to extract it? Like so many questions, and you never get the answers. It's just these people, it's just like UFOs. These people say things. Like in UFOs, people say things like, it did 90-degree turns and it was moving at incredible speeds so fast that no human craft could match it. But you never see radar tapes. You never see proof that they did these maneuvers or that they moved at those speeds. People just say it as if it's fact. But the problem that I largely have is that opinions are not facts. Facts are facts, right? Complizer wants to know, Stephen, what's your thought about USA moon base? If you mean the fake moon base that the secret space program clowns say, what is it, Lunar Operations Command? It's on somebody corrected me too. And so I have to apologize. Apparently it's not called the dark side of the moon. The official term for the other side of the moon is the far side of the moon. But I've heard it called the dark side of the moon before because you never get to see that side. I don't believe that there is a secret lunar base anywhere on the moon because there has been moon orbiters since the late 1960s that have been sent by China, Russia, the United States, and has circled every inch of the moon, taking pictures and beaming the pictures back to Earth. If there was a base on the surface of the moon or any structure, we would know about it. So these liars and these super space program LARPers and grifters, for you to believe that there's some secret moon base, you'd have to believe that every space scientist in China, Russia, and the United States was in on some grand conspiracy, and they were hiding that in the satellite images, in the orbiter images that are beamed back to Earth. Did they scrub all those pictures that would have been obvious of a man-made structure on the moon? I don't think so. I think it's people telling stories, right? Yeah, see, this is where we get into the crazy part. Archaic Revival says, I heard Bigfoot and Skinny Bob, that's the alien, the gray alien, famous gray alien video, were married and Loch Ness Monster presided. Yeah, it does get crazy. Unidentified S4 says, if that thing came after you, meaning Bigfoot, there's no chance you're getting out alive. If it attacks you, you would need a 50 caliber. Yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, if it's a flesh and blood creature and you shoot it enough, you should be able to kill it. But an 8-foot tall, 400 or 500 pound creature, probably going to take a larger caliber bullet. So I may be inclined to believe you and agree with you. Matt Taylor says, or Nephilim human hybrid, maybe with some kind of ape DNA. Well, that's one I haven't heard yet. The Nephilim, of course, being the biblical name for the product of offspring between angels and humans. That would be the Nephilim. So maybe Matt Taylor is onto something, and not only were the Nephilim hybrids, but maybe this Bigfoot creature is a hybrid of some of that genetics with some kind of ape DNA thrown in there. Something nobody else talks about is that this Bigfoot creature could indeed be some kind of experiment. People don't know this, but Stalin and others funded and encouraged some of his scientists to create a chimpanzee human hybrid that could be used for a soldier. Look it up. It's called the Humanzee. We did a show on it. Crazy story. They actually tried to impregnate women with chimpanzee sperm. And they tried to impregnate human women with chimpanzee sperm and tried to impregnate chimpanzee females with human sperm. Now, there's various stories about that story. In most of them, they never got a viable fetus or nothing. Some of these experiments resulted in a pregnancy, but it wasn't carried to full term. In another story related to that I heard, though, they did. And the baby was born, and they studied it for a while, and then they euthanized it for whatever reason, which is crazy. Um, is it possible for chimpanzees and humans to interbreed? I think that the DNA is close, but not that close. And there are certainly some barriers in nature to prevent species that aren't close enough from interbreeding. You see that with horses, there's all kinds of stuff with horses. You can have a horse and a donkey interbreed, but these are all very similar species. I think there's enough difference between chimpanzees and humans that interbreeding is probably not possible unless there's some advanced genetic and DNA manipulation to go on to make that possible. But who knows? I mean, they're putting human ears on mice, and they're doing all kinds of strange experiments, adding human DNA to animals right now. The chimeras are real, believe it or not. There's a great deal of experiments right now going on with trying to make pigs more human, because pigs are very close to humans in many respects. Many of their organs may be somewhat compatible or similar. So there's all kinds of experiments right now going on with pigs, trying to inject them with partial human DNA so that they could produce, for example, hearts for people who need heart transplants, or lungs, or kidneys, or whatever. And that's pretty crazy. Welcome to the show with a kind and generous $1.79. Primates throwing stones at trees on YouTube. Yeah, they do that. That's a very common primate trait. They throw rocks. And there have been many reports. Thank you for your kindness, your generosity, and your support of the show. Everybody, remember, there's a money button down there if you want to smack it a few times, right? Yeah, Bernard Conkin is sharing his podcast on my podcast. Okay. Yeah. Oh, you're doing your podcast after mine. Okay. All right. I guess that's fine. I won't be joining you tonight. I have other things that I got to do tonight, but I thank you for the invitation. So comments, questions for me, please put them in all caps. I'm not sure how we got started on Bigfoot, except that we were supposed to talk to Stan Gordon tonight, and I screwed up the schedule, so my apologies. I didn't want to just turn the stream off, so I thought we would dedicate some time and attention to the live chat. Lord Ludicrous Plaid says Mountain Monsters may be the dumbest show ever produced. Yeah, I watched 10 minutes of that, Lord Ludicrous Plaid, and I turned it off because it was so cheesy. Unidentified S4 says, check out Todd Standing. If his footage is real, it's amazing. I don't believe that his footage is real. What do you think, Unidentified? I have looked at all of that, and it looks like a Chewbacca mask to me, right? It looks like a Chewbacca mask. I'm going to see if I can find some to share. We'll see. Yeah, I mean, it's almost too good to be true. Right? It's almost too good. His stuff is almost too good to be true. Here we go. Todd Standing. Look at this. This is one of his videos of a Bigfoot. And it's from the documentary Discovering Bigfoot. What can I say? I mean, it looks like a real creature to me. It doesn't look like a mask, though it could be. Somebody did an artist representation of it. He's got a bunch of stuff that are reported to be real Bigfoot footage. And I don't know what to say. It's kind of like in his situation, it's like he goes out looking for Bigfoot, and wouldn't you know, he finds Bigfoot, right? Which is a little suspect to me, right? There's no documentary if you don't have the money shot, and this is the money shot from his stuff. But look, here's another one. I guess this is supposed to be a female Bigfoot, right? You know, one of them that he showed looked exactly like a Chewbacca mask, though. And the images that he shows are completely dissimilar. In other words, he's saying this is a Bigfoot, right? And he captured that, and then he's saying this other one is a Bigfoot, and he captured that, but they bear little resemblance to each other. So what has he got? Multiple species of Bigfoot. Some of them have hair on their face, some of them don't. I mean, it's a little suspect. I'm not sure what I believe about Todd Standing's footage. It looks manufactured. It looks like a hoax to me. But that's my personal opinion, and I could be wrong. Andy Putherer says Project Serpo, Hal Putoff, comedy gold stuff. Hal Putoff is comedy gold. I guess former Scientologist claiming that people have superpowers. Nothing suspect there, right? Patrick Sheen asking, anybody remember the Russian investigator who lived in Tennessee Smokies with some local lady who claimed she talked to Bigfoot? Yeah, I don't believe that I do remember that. All right, but it sounds familiar to me. So if you have any links, send them to me in email or in PM. Angel Bryan must be new here, asking, what do you think about Dr. Stephen Greer? I think that he's a profiteering hoaxer liar. That's what I think. Actually, that's good. That's good. Good question. And here's something that I believe. Yeah. And interesting. I'm getting messages from actual Illuminati members now. I joked over the weekend that you've made it in conspiracy land when actual members of the Illuminati are sharing your videos. For those that don't know, John William Warner IV has shared a few of my videos, which I thought was really funny because for those that don't know, John William Warner is related to the Mellons and the Warner family, Carnegie Mellon. I'm sure you've heard of that. And I joke with him that he's an actual Illuminati member. I'm sure people in his family are, right? Chris Mellon, right? He's cousins with Chris Mellon as well. So he says Gigantopithecus seems right on target. And he also says, all I know, and I hope he doesn't mind me reading this, I'm just sharing. He says, all I know about Bigfoot is the story that says they are trans-dimensional creatures that can appear and disappear at will, fourth density. They might be the original humans of our planet, whereas we are 12-strand DNA hybrids. Cats can see into the fourth and sixth dimension, which is why women druids kept them around. Boy, John Williams is into the wild stuff, and we're going to try to get him on here for an interview. I'm going to ask him. He said he may be interested, but he's recovering from the flu. I'm recovering from a bad cold. And I should explain, in case you didn't hear the beginning of the show, Mr. John William Warner IV, I screwed up, and I was supposed to have Bigfoot researcher Stan Gordon tonight, but actually that interview is tomorrow night at 8 p.m. So we are just doing a live chat session here and catching up with the live chat and a few other things. But somebody did ask about what I think of Stephen Greer, and here's something that I saw. It's the Undead Groucho posted on Twitter, and we're going to share that post because I think it says a lot about Dr. Stephen Greer. And here's the post. Does anyone else think it's ridiculously contradictory to the idea of spreading awareness and truth by having people sign NDAs, those are non-disclosure agreements, to attend a Greer CE5 meetup? If you thought the world should know the truth, why not just document and share it all with the world? For those that don't know, if you do shell out all that money to attend a Dr. Stephen Greer CE5 event, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. That's right. The founder of the disclosure movement won't let you come to his events and then talk about what you saw. Now, I believe that there's a reason for that, because many people have accused him of using flares, drones, and other fake things to hoax UFOs in the sky, or to claim that he was, summoning UFOs. I talked to one couple in particular that some of you may remember used to frequent the show in the live chat here, and they attended a live chat, and they didn't care about the NDA. They broke it. And he told us live on air that Greer was absolutely positively using drones. He could hear the buzzing. He was using drones with lights on them. This is according to somebody who attended one of his events. And I've heard various stories and things like that before. I think that Stephen Greer has literally made millions of dollars in UFOs and aliens. And I don't begrudge a man making money, but when he's making money lying to people, I have a problem with that. He's been caught in various lies, from saying he briefed this guy or that guy. We caught him saying that he briefed, in his latest film, he said that he briefed President Trump and Vice President Pence. We reached out to media representatives for both those people who said they didn't even know who Dr. Stephen Greer was. They didn't request a briefing from Dr. Stephen Greer. They didn't ask for a briefing, and they sure didn't get one from him. So that's Stephen Greer in his latest film, lying through his teeth about briefing the president and the vice president. He's also claimed to brief Mr. Woolsey, one time head of the CIA. And that guy said that never happened. So Dr. Stephen Greer collected some $300,000 or $400,000. I don't have the figure directly in front of me. Collected an incredible amount of money, claiming that he was going to build a free energy device. He never produced any device, let alone a working one. So that, in a nutshell, tells me that Dr. Stephen Greer pocketed $300,000 or $400,000 and never produced what he promised. And then the nonprofit organization that he started to collect all that money went belly up. And I just don't find the man credible. After all, why would somebody that was the founder of Disclosure, why would the founder of Disclosure make you sign a non-disclosure agreement to attend one of his events? That's bull. That's so dumb. Like, just from an optics perspective, I can't imagine that somebody that works for him at least wouldn't go to him and say, listen, Stephen, this is going to look bad. You can't make everybody sign a non-disclosure agreement. You're the founder of the disclosure movement. It's going to look real bad. The optics of it alone. Why would you do that? Now, some have suggested that Dr. Stephen Greer does that so that if one of his hoaxed drone flight things that are supposed to be aliens, if people, figure it out, they're not allowed to tell people that he's hoaxing things. And just to be clear, I don't know for sure that he's hoaxing things at his events, but I have been told by many that he does that. There is also substantial and supportive evidence that he once used military exercises dropping flares as aliens. In other words, he said, I'm meditating. The aliens are going to be here any minute. And then there was flares dropped in the area from military exercises that he claimed are extraterrestrial spacecraft. You can also check out UFOWatchdog.com, which has a section on Stephen Greer showing, he's taking pictures of moths saying they're interdimensional beings. I think, like a lot of people, Dr. Stephen Greer started off with his heart in the right place. And then things got commercial, right? And when he realized the potential for money, he started seeing aliens everywhere. He started believing aliens were everywhere. We did a piece on him claiming where he got his superpowers, because for those that don't know, Dr. Stephen Greer claims that he has superpowers. He claims that he's able to summon aliens and UFOs, vector UFOs into his area through meditation. And most of what he teaches is stolen, or let's just say borrowed. I won't say stolen. Borrowed from transcendral meditation. And I suppose I have a problem with somebody charging people money for information that is basically free. If you contact Transcendral Meditation and tell them that you're, a student, or you don't have very much money, but you'd like to learn more about them, Transcendral Meditation, they'll send you a bunch of books for free. There's also Buddhist organizations that will send you books on meditation for absolutely free. You just have to pay the shipping. I have about 100 of those books. And I have gifted some of those organizations a financial gift, because those books that they gave me for free, they make you pay shipping, but it's a reasonable shipping amount. But those transcendental meditation, you're correct. Zenzabil says, don't you mean transcendental meditation? Yeah, I always have problems pronouncing that. So I apologize for my mispronunciation. That's exactly what I mean. Transcendental meditation. And for those that don't know, transcendental meditation are the people that also push the Maharishi effect, claiming that if 100 people, sit around in a circle singing Kumbaya and meditating on peace and love, that crime statistics go down in that city. And that's just not true. It was propaganda pushed to sell transcendental meditation as something scientifically provable. I have experimented with transcendental meditation, and I found it to be interesting and probably helpful for many. I think it's helpful to many people. It's the easiest form of meditation to learn, much easier than a lot of the Buddhist meditations. Lately, I've been doing this impermanence meditation, which is to focus on nothing stays the same, everything changes, and you're sort of encouraged in this form of meditation to, see the leaves fall off of the tree and then rot into dirt. It's a whole meditation on impermanence. Transcendental meditation tends to be a little more upbeat and positive. So, but my point is that, Stephen Greer just took stuff from an existing form of meditation. And he's selling it in an app for $10, claiming that you could see aliens. You'll get to interact with extra, he said, I've heard him say, and I'm paraphrasing here, but he says things like, if you buy my app, you'll be able to vector in UFOs to your location and communicate with extraterrestrial entities. And I think that's a little bit of a stretch for a $10 phone app, telling people that they'll be able to do that. And to me, if I buy the app for $10 and I don't talk to aliens, that's consumer fraud, because he's telling me this is what the app does. It allows you to talk to aliens. Not for $10, friends. And I've talked to some people who are very, let's just say, pro CE5 in their thoughts and feelings and experiences. And I say good for them, but it hasn't worked for me. And maybe, actually, I'm going to do a review on it. That girl, Jessica. Oh, I missed it. Unidentified, yeah. Unidentified S4 says, I have the app. It's BS. Now it makes sense. That girl Jessica's laughing that the app it makes sense. Lisa Savoy says, Greer is just ridiculous. I think he's beyond ridiculous. I think that he is a predator. He is preying on these people that want to believe in aliens, and made himself a millionaire doing so. Solar Warden says, you are talking to aliens. It's a social contact app for illegal immigrants. Yeah, I don't know about that. But you do dox yourself with that app. You let everybody else know, here I am, I'm interested in aliens. And I think you can, though, decide not to make yourself public to this CE5 network that this app connects everybody in. But yeah, I'm not sure about that. Andy Putherer says, seriously, have a word with yourself if you ever believe that guy. Scott Brown says, the Greech who stole disclosure. Yeah. Yeah, and I love it. We gave him an award for boldest liar in conspiracy land because he claimed that the government offered him $2 billion to shut up about aliens, but he wouldn't do it. I don't know. Solar Warden, yeah, it says, I was just kidding. I knew that. I definitely knew that. Let's see. So comments or questions for me, please put them in all caps. Lee Guy with the ultimate review of Stephen Greer's CE5 app. He says, I would rather play Pokemon than go play CE5. I missed that whole Pokemon thing, right? I refused to do it. I remember, I had my nieces, nephews, neighbors, friends. Everybody's walking around with their phone looking for those Pokemon. I never did it. But I should, because that might motivate me to walk around more, right? Is that app still good, Lee Guy? People still use that? Yes, Area 503 is here. Says, I used to like Greer back in the Disclosure Project days, but it seems 20 years have changed him. Yeah. When he first did the Disclosure Project, he was somebody that I believed in. And I believed that he really had his heart in the right place. But I think that his heart got dislodged from the right place by all that money, Area 503, because he praised the cash better than anybody. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. Stephen Greer is perhaps the most financially successful UFO guy on planet Earth. He's made millions, millions more than some of these other guys out there. I'm certain that he's made tons more money than Stephen Greer, or I'm sorry, than Richard Dolan or Corey Good or any of these other guys. I think that he has made a tremendous amount of money, more than everybody else. Unidentified S4 says, I'd shut up real quick for $2 billion. Yeah, I'd do it for $2 million. Unidentified. They could get me cheap. I would put this show on mothballs tomorrow, Unidentified S4, and I would disappear from the interwebs with my $2 million. They'd get me cheap because I could buy 100 acres and build a new cabin somewhere with $2 million and probably live the rest of my life in peace and harmony. I'm not greedy. I don't need 2 billion like Stephen Greer. I just need 2 million. Okay. So if the deep state and the cabal are listening, now they know every man has a price. I've given them mine, right? Tim Frick, I get this question a lot. He asks, how do you feel about the Phil Schneider story, his death as well? You know, there is a lot about Phil Schneider's story that makes no sense. But I believe that the best sort of expose ever done on Phil Schneider was done by Joe from the Carolinas. Joe from the Carolinas did an incredible amount of research. He had a few researchers helping him for a time. And what they found out is that Phil Schneider had some sort of mental disease that caused him to cut and mangle and disfigure himself. So when you saw Phil Schneider holding up his hand at lectures, telling everybody that aliens shot off his fingers with a ray gun, the truth was that Phil Schneider cut off his own fingers because of his mental illness. And he was in and out of mental wards for quite some time, living in mental hospitals for quite some time before he came out with his story. His death, though tragic, and I think probably many of us have seen some of those pictures that really nobody should see a man like in their death like that. But this is the internet world we live in. So somebody leaked the pictures of him and dead from his asphyxiation. Conspiracy land always jumps right to he didn't kill himself. It was the deep state. They were trying to shut him up about aliens. But the truth, Mr. Frick, is that Phil Schneider was a very mentally ill man before and after he came out with his story. And if you know the full story about him, I believe it's still up on Joe from the Carolinas channel. I mean, Joe from the Carolinas had paperwork showing he was in mental hospitals. He had paperwork talking about his diagnosis of this illness and information about him cutting his own fingers off and things like that. Knowing that, I don't find anything that he said after that very credible. Now, could it be that he was mentally ill and cutting off his own fingers and he still saw some aliens? Maybe, but why would he lie about what happened to his fingers, saying the alien shot it with a ray gun when the truth was he cut his own fingers off? This is crazy. Andy Pathurer asks me about dino beavers. Yeah, I think that book so far is ridiculous. I got it. I only read the first few chapters, and I'm like, I don't get this book. I don't get the werewolves and dino beavers and all this craziness. Rockstar 8970 Abel. Phil was telling the truth. Well, Rockstar 8970 Abel, we know that he at least lied about what happened to his fingers because there's paperwork from the mental hospital he was in for cutting off his own fingers. He cut off his own fingers. So, this is the problem that I have. For some people, no amount of evidence is enough. And also, the amount of energy that it takes to dispel fake stories is an order of magnitude greater than the energy that it takes to tell them. So If you believe that he was still telling the truth when he got up in front of hundreds of people at all these UFO conferences and said, aliens shot off my fingers, when there is paperwork from mental hospitals that prove that he was in a mental hospital for having this disorder where he disfigured and cut himself, and he even disfigured himself to the point of cutting off his own fingers. I can't do any more for you. If you want to believe him that it was aliens that cut off his fingers and not him because he was suffering from severe mental illness and defect, I can't really help you. Glitch said I believed in him too, right? Prairie Fire says, you're in the woods, Steve. Have you seen or heard anything unusual? Well, at the cabin, not really. I mean, I've seen we have plenty of deer, raccoons, beavers, all forms of wildlife. Bears. I had my own close encounter with a bear that I hope to never have another close encounter with a bear. That was one of the scariest moments of my life. A bear charged me because it got between her and her cub. I didn't see the cub. The cub walked right in front of me at the cabin, right in our front yard. Well, first the bears went and they ate off the picnic table. We had just finished eating dinner. We hadn't cleared the table yet. A mama bear and her cubs just decided to, we weren't at the picnic table. We had left. We're like sitting around the campfire, and these bears just came up. Anyway, I had an encounter with a mama bear, and it jumped up on its hind legs and ran at me. Luckily, right as soon as it got right next to its child, and I ran the other way, so I was no longer a threat. It stopped. But I haven't seen anything that unusual. Well, no, that's not true. We're way high up in the elevations. We're at the highest point in the mountains of Pennsylvania. I'm 1 mile from the sign that says highest elevation in Pennsylvania on the mountain that I'm on. We see crazy stuff in the skies. We see colored lights up in the skies. We see what I believe is the International Space Station at times, clearly with the naked eye. We see satellites going overhead, clearly with the naked eye. I believe that I've seen something that appeared to me to be a triangle-shaped aircraft that didn't exhibit any sound, but it flew over so quick that I can't say with a high degree of certainty that it was, like a TR-3B or some other triangle UFO. It looked to me like a triangle, flew straight over, but it was way high up, and you can barely make out, to my eyes, I could barely make out that it was a triangle. I'm going to start taking film of the skies at night at the cabin, and maybe even do like a time lapse photography kind of a thing, because we're so high up in the mountains that we see all kinds of stuff in the skies, and there are some unusual things, but most of them can be explained by satellites, the International Space Station, and other things. Angel Bryan says, thanks for your thoughts and opinion. Yeah. That girl Jessica, I've never gotten into Pokemon, so I don't know this, but that girl Jessica says Pokemon, anything is so addictive. Yeah. What do you think about the summoners? I'm not sure what you mean. Is that a documentary about people that can summon what? Yeah, that could mean a lot of things. There's a book. There's please be more specific, because I'm not quite sure what you mean by the summoners. 6 cents. Don't advertise for Stephen Greer. He's not a paid advertiser. Take that down. Stephen Greer's got millions of dollars. If he wants to advertise his app on my show, he got to pay me, okay? You got to praise the cash with me. What can I say, right? Area 503 says 20 years is a long time to be on the grift. I agree with that. Scott Brown recently got in trouble for showing people's houses. I believe so far Scott Brown has shown everybody George Knapp's $1 million mansion. Now he's going to get in trouble sharing Stephen Greer's $3 million mansion. Sure. Pardon me, and please pardon the dead air, folks in audio podcast land. Still recovering from this cold, but I feel like I'm on the tail end of it. Feels like my nasal passages, everything's drying up now. Thank God. It's been a rough 2 weeks, especially because because of the current health crisis and my children not being in school and wearing masks and all the hand sanitizer and washing hands that my wife makes us do, I haven't gotten sick in 2 years. So it was quite a shock to the system to get a man cold. And what's a man cold? It's the same cold that everybody gets, but when a man gets it, he cries like a little girl. Some of us do. I'm one of those guys. When I have a cold, I'm miserable. I'm snotty, my throat hurts, I can't talk, I can't work. I talk for a living. So when I get a cold, I get real pissed and pissy, right? Okay. So I want to remind everybody, if you're listening in audio podcast land, please come over to YouTube. Put Truth Seekers, one word, in that YouTube search bar. When you find our channel, and that's easy to do, just look for me, the guy with the sunglasses, hit subscribe and smash that notification bell. And you too can come here. You see we're doing all this audience interaction, right? Yes, I have seen some of this. Solar Ward is asking, what are your thoughts on recent presentations by John Ramirez, more specifically about his assertion ufology is attacking the wrong departments with our FOIA requests? He's CIA GS-15. I think that he may be onto something. And the other thing that I think is that I think that FOIA requests to try to get to the truth about UFOs may be very unfruitful, because I think that the government, if they want to keep this secret, aren't that stupid. That they have transferred any of the important information and, let's say, materials to private industry, which is not, FOIA doesn't work on a private company. There's no FOIA requests to Lockheed Martin, to Skunk Works, to Boeing, or whoever, right? Or Northrop Grumman, or, whoever. You can't FOIA request a private company. So I believe that he's right, but he also should point out that most of the information is probably in subcontractors' hands, and they do that for a reason. It's so that people can't FOIA request this stuff. If we are to believe all of this UFO cover-up stuff, they must be doing a great job, because you can FOIA request all you want and find very little so-called UFO truth out of the U.S. government archives and documents from whatever department, right? I just don't know. Complex Eric says, what do you think about those latest Saturn sightings? Not familiar, really. I don't know. I know that people often mistake Saturn for UFO sightings. It's very, very common. In fact, that's one of the first things that you do if you're investigating a UFO sighting, is try to eliminate the possibility that it is Saturn or some other celestial body. Oh no, we can't speak ill of Lockheed Lou, right? Andy Perthier says Lou is going down soon, Manny. Too many people looking into his grift, serious money involved. I believe you may be right. And by the way, Area 503, if you're still listening, I gotta get you. You gotta message me, because I got some major information for you. Area 503 says, I agree. I've discovered a whole lot. Yeah, I think that. Here's what I think. I think what may be happening soon is, does anybody remember all those TTSA fanboys and how venomous and nasty they attacked anybody that bothered to question TTSA about anything? Anybody who doubted TTSA about anything? All these TTSA fanboys, hundreds of Twitter accounts, most of them with alien pictures for their profiles, and brand new Twitter accounts, would just harass you for days if you dared to question anything about TTSA. Now, it's not quite so many, but it's just as virulent, just as venomous, and just as nasty. If you question anything about Lou Elizondo, all these Lou Elizondo fanboys come out and just harass you for days. But I have a question. What happened to all those TTSA fanboys, right? Did they go, gee, we were wrong. And we're sorry for harassing people and attacking people simply for asking questions. Turns out that those people that were asking questions were probably right. And they should have been asking questions because TTSA was one big money grab and they never did anything they promised. Now we've got Lou Elizondo, who 3 years ago or so apparently lied to the New York Times. Remember, he was the sole source of that original story. So did 3 veteran expert journalists all get their facts wrong? Or did he give them wrong facts? No, I believe that Lou Elizondo House of Cards will be falling very soon. Oh, and by the way, who lied to the History Channel? Because in the History Channel, there's that whole line about him running a $22 million Pentagon program that we now know that was a lie. Who lied to the History Channel? Right? He was the star. Shouldn't he have corrected them and said, excuse me, I did run a Pentagon program, but it was a volunteer made-up program that me and my friends, Hal Puthoff, and I guess Senator Reid and I don't know, Eric Davis, we just made up our own program, and then we didn't do any investigative work, and we had 0 funding. I could still be on TV for that, though, right? Maybe, just maybe, he would have lost his TV deal if he was honest about what he did, which is basically what we know now is that Lou Elizondo was a volunteer for some made-up organization that, by the way, produced almost nothing. Almost nothing. They produced nothing. There's no reports of Lou Elizondo going out and investigating UFOs. There's no paperwork about Lou Elizondo going out and investigating UFOs. Maybe, just maybe, he overstated some BS group that him and his buddies started that did work at the Pentagon. But did he run a $22 million program for the Pentagon studying UFOs? No, he didn't. Which means he lied to everyone for 3 or 4 years now. And I heard somebody else point it out. Actually, it was John Warner who pointed out that, you ever listen to Lou Elizondo talk? He could talk for an hour and say nothing. He was a counterintelligence man. I don't trust counterintelligence officers. I don't trust anybody from the government. I don't think I trust John Warner either. He's an Illuminati guy, right? Maybe he's going to recruit me. I don't know. I have been listening to his interviews in anticipation of getting to interview him myself. But he's into some wild out there stuff. I listened to him on a podcast with a super soldier girl. And in that hour and a half, that girl claimed she died 7 times, was in the space with the Nazis, right? I don't know, all this other stuff. It was just like way too much woo. And John just sat there like, yeah, it's he's into the wild stuff. So if I get an interview with him, we're going to call it Wild Stuff from Conspiracy Land with him. Amy Collins, this is correct. Phil Schneider, supposedly he worked part-time in a shoe store. Yeah. And he was not quite the expert at DUMBs or deep underground military bases that he claimed to be. He actually worked at a shoe store part-time. Yeah. Steven is the old man of the DMV that won't stop laughing. Yeah, maybe. Hey, people like my laugh. They tell me that all the time. So, what can I say, folks? I'm sorry there's no guest tonight, but look, we're going through the live chat, a pretty good clip. So, thoughts on Edgar Fouché, Red Storm 1. Edgar Fouché, I believe, was the real deal. And there's a lot of reasons that I think that. Some of them I can't disclose. But I'm hoping we're going to do a show just on Edgar Fouché and the TR-3B with Solar Marshall. But Solar Marshall, I thought we scheduled it, and then he couldn't do it because of his work schedule. So we're trying to I got to get back with him and see when he could do it. I believe that Edgar Fouché was the real deal because we can verify his background. We can even verify his employment at Area 51. He told some compelling and interesting stories, and he was also very big on busting the fakers and fraudsters that claimed to work at Area 51 that never did. He was not a very big fan of Bob Lazar, I've heard, right? And yes, Solar Marshall was Edgar Fouché's best friend for many years. So we're hoping to get an interview with him. And we're going to talk about the TR3B and Solar Marshall. And I'd also like to get a physicist or scientist. You could do it now. Now he wants to do a show on Edgar Fouché. No, we're not doing it right now. We have to schedule these things, right? Oh boy, Kate Schneider is here, and I still haven't gotten a DM or a PM or a message from you. You said you had something interesting to share with me, and I've been on the edge of my seat waiting, Kate Schneider. I would really like you to message me so I know what it is that you got. If you got to whisper in my ear. Many people do that, and I love it when people whisper secrets in my ear. Kate Schneider, glad to see you here. No, we can't because this whole day has been terrible, and this whole stream screwed up from the very beginning. I don't know if you watched from the beginning, but I called a guest to do an interview that we're supposed to do tomorrow, and no, we're not going to do it right now. I could do it tomorrow. No, I could do it Wednesday night or Thursday night, whatever time you want, but I don't know what your work schedule is like, so DM me, PM me. Den Mom, you can't disclose for what reason. Please say because you're saving for a vid and not something. Yeah, I'm saving what I have to share for the video that we're going to do all about Edgar Fouché and the TR3B, Den Mom. I just don't want to get into it now because it's kind of like I've got a whole folder of research into Edgar Fouché and the TR3B, the Triangle UFO Flap over in Europe, Denmark, whatever. I've got a great deal of evidence, and we're doing something else tonight, so I'm going to save that for the show. Tim Frick says computer crystals. Solar Marshall says I'm here, Truth Seekers. Yeah, well, let me know. We'll do it Wednesday night or Thursday night. I'm down. I've had that show on my list for a long time, and you would be an expert to talk about Edgar Fouché, being that you guys were best friends for many years. After I'm done with my documentary, will you talk to me about Lou off the books? Oh, there we go. People are making side deals in my live chat right now. Oh, see, I'm getting them confused. We got Solar Warden and Solar Marshall is here. Solar Warden says, word up, bro. Hope all is well. It'd be killer to hear you on here talking all the wealth of Fouché knowledge. And Solar Marshall says he is the real deal. Yeah, every time I see Solar Warden, I think it's Solar Marshall and vice versa. I added you on Facebook. I thought it was closed. Let me go over there right now and check because I think I sent you a friend request, but I'm always maxed out at 5,000 friends and kicking people off my list that never talk to me. Yeah. Let me see. Oh, yeah, it says we're friends now. So I'm going to message you right now. And I'm messaging you, whisper some secrets in my ear. Just to remind you, right? Just to remind you that you said you had some things to share with me, and I'd sure like to hear what it is that you have. Yeah, way to leave a guy hanging. I was wondering all weekend, what does Kate Schneider have? What kind of information does she have to share with me, right? Oh, I love it when people whisper secrets in my ears. Glitch says whisper, whisper, whisper. Yeah, that's how I get some of the leads, believe it or not. Kate Schneider says, okay, we'll do. Busy weekend, Truth Seekers. Yeah, I wish I could say the same thing. I had a terrible weekend because I went to the cabin to work on the back wall of the cabin and to make firewood. But unfortunately, it was rain and freezing rain and 32 degrees outside all weekend. So I sat in the cabin trying to do some other little projects inside the cabin. Got almost nothing done. I got some rest, though. I got to say that. I did get some rest. I took a nap twice. And I was feeling, I got this man cold thing going on. So I thought if I take some naps, that'd probably be good. The best thing for you is rest when you have the cold or flu or whatever. So I made sure that I took I think I got up at like 8 o'clock one day, and then I'm like, I'm going back to bed, and I woke up at 2 p.m. And the same thing for today. I woke up at like 6 a.m. and then I went back to bed and woke up at noon. And then I just packed up and went home because I wasn't making any progress at the cabin, and I hate that. But the good news is, it looks like all that insulation in the cabin paid off because I got a little electric heater, and it's really not even a heater. It's more like, it's for looks. It's one of those electric fireplaces, and it just blows hot air from underneath it, which is basically the equivalent of a hair dryer. But the good news is, even when it was 25 outside, it was keeping the room I was in at 70 degrees. So I think I don't have to worry that much about, I'm in this firewood thing right now. Like, oh my God, I got to make more firewood, right? I just got to make more firewood. Not sure why somebody's mentioning another show host. Oh, I don't even know. Somebody's stopping somebody from commenting. What's going on in the live chat? I don't know. Everybody's free to comment. So unless somebody's really saying something nasty, please don't not allow. Oh, okay. And I thought somebody was saying he's here and he wasn't allowed to comment. Yeah. It gets a little confusing. Unidentified S4 says, I will be up at the cabin until Thursday. You got to message me off air, Unidentified S4. Follow me on Twitter at Stephen Cambion, or message me on Facebook and let me know where your cabin is, because my cabin's in the Poconos too. I'd love to see, I'm a cabin guy. I love to see other people's cabins and what they got going on and what they built. So, I'm right in Goldsboro, PA, and I'm about, I don't know, 10 minutes from the post office. If you just want to look up Goldsboro, PA post office, I'm about 10 minutes from the post office on the main road in Goldsboro, PA. That's where my cabin is. So let me know where yours is, and we'll see how close we are. Solar Marshal, if your name is original, don't worry. People in the field know of Warden when it's just a name. No proof, pure speculation. Yeah, you guys should pick different names, right? It's so confusing. And Solar Marshal got mad at me one time because I thought that Solar Warden was him. And he was like, that wasn't me. That was some other guy. I'm like, all right. I'm sorry, right? Oh, Unidentified S4. Yeah, you have me on Twitter. So send me a DM where your cabin is. Just vaguely. Like, send me a nearby landmark that I can do the map thing and look up. You don't have to give me your actual address just yet if you're not comfortable. I tend to want to check people out a little bit before I share my actual cabin location. Call me kooky. There's enough nutters walking around the woods. Tim Frick with an excellent question. If aliens are real, what's the next step? How do we start communication? That's a very complicated question, because for all we know, they don't communicate anything like we do, right? For all we know, they communicate with, I don't know, chemicals and tastes, right? What if there's an alien species and they communicate with tastes, not with herd language, right? Well, remember that famous Star Trek episode where that race of aliens communicated with sayings, like, what was it? Tanagra, right? But they communicated in a completely alien way to us. They communicated with sayings and stories to communicate things. And Captain Picard had to figure that all out. So I think if aliens are real, how do we start communications? Well, I would think that many scientists have also suggested this, including some famous astronomers. We would probably start communication with math, because math is universal. And our math and their math should be pretty similar, because math is math. So I think we would start communication with math and then go from there, right? Charlie Weiser says, as a UFO communicator, how do you avoid being sued when you point out the lies in the field? Well, talked to a lawyer before starting the show, and he advised me to label every show with produced by my company. So that's one layer of protection. It means that if somebody were to sue me, they can't sue me personally. They have to sue my company. And my company has about $40 in the bank. So good luck suing my company, and good luck securing a judgment, and good luck best of all, good luck collecting a judgment if you win a judgment from my company that has almost no money. And when people, I think, Charlie Weiser, when people realize what a fruitless effort it would be to sue my company because they would never get any money. There's no money to be had. And there's no real assets of the company. So, people who want to sue you want to do financial harm to you. When they realize they can't really do any financial harm to you, they realize it's a fruitless endeavor and they back off. Archaic Revival says family cabin sold 2 years ago. Oh, well, sorry to hear that. I'm a big fan of cabins. I built this one from scratch, from the ground up. I have been building it for 3 years, and I'm nowhere near finished. I still got a lot of finishing work to do on the inside, the bathroom. I have some wiring to do. I have to finish the sunroom. I have to build a porch, and I have to build one more room out the back that's going to be a bedroom for my children. So probably going to be another 2 years building this thing because I'm only there, sometimes, right? The Sixth Sense reminding people in the chat, voicing your opinion is encouraged. Just keep it respectful to both guests and fellow chatters. Excellent observation. Yeah. That girl Jessica says, can't be too careful when you have a family. Most of the people that I've met have been very nice, but I still like to be cautious before I go, hey, here's my cabin. You can come visit. Because the other thing is it's a security issue as well. I have a lot stored at the cabin and I'm not there full time. So, I know exactly where you're at. I know where Lake Monroe is. I'm 34 minutes from you. I'm a block away from Lake Monroe. Yeah, maybe you should come visit sometime. And send me a picture of your cabin. I'd like to see it sometime. I'd like to see it in person, but you can send me a picture in the meantime. There's some pictures of my cabin on Twitter. Those are older pictures, though. It's been quite a few upgrades since then. Archaic Revival. I have heard this myself. Heard aliens have no exits, so they sweat poop. Yeah, and they stink. I've also heard that they rub some kind of stuff all over themselves, and that's how they ingest nutrition. There's lots of stories out there. Are those stories accurate, or is this just people speculating, right? Solar Marshall says, but what if people who wrote the Bible, the people involved with the Bible were actually ETs? Well, there's good historical documentation about the people that actually were responsible for the Bible. So I don't know if that's valid, but who knows, right? We have the Nephilim and we have gods that may be misinterpreted extraterrestrials, right? Amy Collins says, the most immune would be UFO truth seeker style street preacher. Ghost Rider asking, what is the latest about Ryan's Wayne? He had an ex-wife who looks like Anjali. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on anything to do with this Ryan person. He is one of the people. He's not threatening to sue me, but Ryan, who was on our show here, I thought I was fine with. I don't know. He has some disagreement with Charlie Weiser, and now he's saying that he's going to sue Charlie Weiser, and he sent me a nasty lawyer letter. Well, it wasn't from a lawyer. It was like a demand letter demanding that I preserve all my electronic communications with Charlie Weiser, and making all these demands of me. And I just don't, I don't know. I'm content to move forward with my life, and I don't really want him anywhere near it, my life. First of all, I don't believe that whatever you want to call me here, a journalist, investigative journalist, can be forced to give the court private communications between him and a source. And that's what he's basically implying, that he's going to subpoena all of my private communications with one of my sources, Charlie Weiser, which is extremely problematic on many different levels. And also Charlie Weiser is in Australia, so he'd have to fly to Australia, sue her, wait years for the case to be resolved, subpoena my emails. The Australian judge would have to say, yeah, these are private communications between you and a source. But because this guy doesn't like what she said elsewhere on the internet, you have to hand over all your private communications. He seems to be backpedaling about a lot of the stuff that he said in regard to the Anjali case. I don't know what's going on with that, but I'm content to ignore him or anything that he has to say because, people have done some digging, and I just don't think I want to listen to anything that he has to say. Scott Hernandez says, you're not getting lawsuit threats, are you? Hey, where did you learn how to build a cabin? First of all, yeah, I'm getting lots of lawsuit threats. We have Simon Parks threatened to sue me if I didn't take a video down that was featured one of his female victims. We've got Sarah R. Adams, a fake psychic healer, threatening to sue me, and she says the FBI are involved. No, they're not. And in the case of Sarah R. Adams, she keeps saying she's going to sue me. It seems like every once in a while she watches my show, has a hissy fit, and then goes on Twitter telling everybody she's going to sue me, and the police are involved and the FBI are involved. Nothing ever happens, and I never get any legal paperwork in the mail or anything, but she's going to sue me. And again, she'd have to sue my company, which has about $40 in the bank, so good luck with that. Plus, there's a 2-year plus backlog of civil cases in the courts right now due to COVID. So do I really think she's going to sue me and wait 2 years? I don't think so. She's got to fly to Pennsylvania to sue me. She lives on the West Coast. These people just love to threaten and harass you. She's trying to scare me into stopping talking about her and her fake superpowers, and it's not very effective. And then again, we've got this Ryan Gordon threatening me to preserve all my communications because he's suing one of my sources. But no, I'm not really. Am I letting them get to me? Not really, but they're still, it's psychically damaging when people keep threatening to sue you. Of course, it's going to cause a little bit of worry, but I've spoken to an attorney, and I think we've covered our bases here nicely. I'm not really worried. I think that the universe has an order, right, to it, and if I'm telling the truth, I don't think I have very much to worry about, or telling the truth to the best of my knowledge and available information. And hey, where did you learn to build a cabin? Boy, I could give you a list. I read every book that I could find on Amazon about building log cabins, cordwood masonry cabins, cottages, vacation homes, tiny houses, doing conversions of school buses. I watched all kinds of videos, and I just figured it out piece by piece, little by little. And I've never built anything before, really. I mean, I built a studio out of a barn, but the walls and everything were already there. So it was really just a matter of like drywall and wiring and paint and, some things like that. It wasn't building an actual building. But so far it hasn't fallen down, and it's doing pretty good. And it's incredibly energy efficient. And we keep making improvements to the energy efficiency. When I finish the sunroom, we'll have free heat from that thermal oven on the south-facing wall of the cabin all day long, even in the winter when we need it most. Should be well above freezing in the sunroom because it's got a clear roof and all the walls are glass and windows. So I'm looking forward to that. Glitch says, building your own cabin is super cool. Scott Brown says, the Cambian compound. Yeah, Scott, I don't know where you're at in the world, but you're welcome to visit. Kate Snyder said, I made a wacky world of Wilcock compilation on my channel. Well, hold on? Are you a moderator in the chat? I think, if not, I'm going to make you one. Hold on. Bear with me, friends. We have to make Kate Snyder a moderator so that she could share the link to that in, and my family might be watching my show right now because I think I just put cast to TV by accident. Let's see here. I'm going to find Kate Schneider. Oh, here's Kate Schneider. All right, Kate Schneider, I've added you as a moderator so you can copy and paste that video into the live chat. I could share it here if you like. Anything to do with laughing at Wilcock is probably something that I'm interested in. But I'm trying to find your channel now, and I'm having a hard time because if you YouTube search Kate Schneider, oh, The Wacky World of Wilcock, I got it. Oh no, you got to let me. Is it okay if I share this, Kate? Oh, this is gold. Well, I'm going to cite fair use and share it. Hold on, I'm going to get my fair use banner up. Yeah, let's do this. Let's get my fair use banner up. This is fair use. This is transformative work. It's not you that I'm worried about, Kate Schneider. I'm worried about Wilcock copyright striking me. So we're educating the public and we're critiquing the video that we're sharing, and this is covered under fair use and is allowable by law. We'll be stopping the video every once in a while, and we'll be talking over it. And yeah. So let's share this video. 1 second, friends. Make sure I share the audio. The Wacky World of Wilcock. I love it. I love it. And I have some of these clips, Kate.
Hey there. I'm your buddy. I'm your guy. I came through. I actually showed up, right? I'm like the deadbeat dad who finally decided to come to like your birthday party or something and actually tell you something cool. Certainly, I should be a quadruple New York Times bestseller, but I don't even care anymore because it's up to them what they want to say. Whether they want me to be that or not is their discretion. What?
This is the microphone, I believe.
They're both the same. It won't make any difference if I fix it.
Check. Oh, this is the one.
It won't make any difference, but if you want me to change mics, I will. Yeah, so folks, we've also had,
That was a lot better.
it's not, but we've had an enormous amount of work going on in terms of understanding our audio gear and trying to get it to work as well as possible.
I love how he's talking about.
He's having fingers for it.
I love this clip because he's talking about how great of work that he's been doing to make the audio sound great. And the whole time it sounds like garbage. It's wonderful. Thank you, Kate.
The point is, seed of divine infinity that you are.
Oh
Of
no.
the creative potential.
Oh, this is when he tells her to say some S.
And we'll see you next time. When I called Corey back and I said, wait a minute, what's going on with this 3-day magnetic pulse? And then I got the briefings. I put it all together. That we're going to get these
he gets
presidential emergency
briefings.
briefings coming
Sure.
off of our phone. They won't say what's really going on at the time. Now, here's another big part of this briefing, folks. We have to rewire and reboot the internet. That's part of why the internet's got to go down completely for 3 days. Because there are certain major nodes, certain major choke points that all the traffic is flowing through. You probably know what I'm talking about if you've done your homework.
Yeah. David Wilcock said that the internet was going to go down and nothing happened. And for him to suggest that the entire internet could be rewired in 3 days shows that he's an idiot that knows nothing about the internet. But okay.
And these nodes are very dark. There's more than one of them, and they must be removed. After those particular choke points are literally taken out of the internet, they're cutting the cords, they're rewiring everything. Then they turn it back on because now all these very evil and dark places that the cabal was using for censorship, for surveillance, all that stuff, all those tools will be taken away from the cabal now. So that's part of what's going to happen. We get a new internet that doesn't have the bad guys being able to watch you through your camera phone anymore. So this is part of why they got to turn off everything, okay? It's very important. The Alliance does not want you to be afraid during these 3 days. They want you to be excited.
This is David Wilcock's 3 days of darkness that never came.
Because this is not martial law. This is not a takeover. Stay home. Don't be a weekend warrior. Don't go running outside with a gun. Somebody will shoot you if you do that. It's not a good idea. Stay inside and be happy that we're going to get this thing. Because after it's over, we get the truth coming at us from everywhere. Breaking news. U.S. President Donald Trump has signed an executive order authorizing the call-up of up to 1 million reserve military personnel in the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Coast Guard. We need 100% of people inside their homes in order to see what the U.S. military will broadcast on all televisions around the world once they turn the lights back on, proverbially speaking, after the 3 days.
Oh, what a
This
bunch
will
of
be very-
garbage. I remember this garbage. And I also remember predicting that none of this was going to happen. So apparently I'm much more psychic than David Wilcock.
Painful, but we can no longer have our people divided. Around Sunday or Monday, which again is today, I don't know if it's going to be this fast. It probably will be a little longer based on another briefing we just got, which I'll show you in a minute.
Oh, the storm, right? Yeah.
The President of the United States will tweet to my American fellow citizens that the storm is upon us, and we received no briefings on when this will be. We will then go, I don't think this is really true.
He's been talking about martial law and mass arrest for 20 years. It never happens, friends. It never happens.
But we will go to full global martial law. And he says the chances are, if you're the president, that you'll be on board your military plane, Air Force One, when you send 7 presidential messages to all televisions and phones around the world in the emergency broadcast system. In the US, they will shut down all internet media and phones and all television programming for the US military. Only the emergency services will be working. Then they will broadcast 10 days of 3 times 8 hours. So the same shift, 8-hour shifts for.
Oh, this is some prime grade A David Wilcock garbage. And you know, how does he go and do another stream live after none of this happens? How does he go and do a whole nother show after he says all this stuff is going to happen and none of it happens? How does he show his face in public? I would be so embarrassed, right? You would think that he would at least address and explain why none of this ever happens, but he never does. He just moves on to new garbage stories about what's going to happen that's never going to happen.
10 days, and you got to watch one of the 3 shifts of video confessions, military courts, and a lot of evidence for the scandals that we listed in our article on the storm, which again is a lot of the same stuff I'm saying. While this is happening, they will eliminate the world government and carry out global arrests with 500,000 criminal charges. And then they have various plans of how this new financial system will be in place. I don't know if those are really going to happen.
Yeah, how like he doesn't even think about the garbage that he talks, because like, you know how long it would take to try 500,000 people on criminal charges? Where are you getting all those judges and all those juries? Like, none of this makes any sense.
But there's Gesara and Nessara. They might not happen quite that way, but it is going to be a complete rewiring of planet Earth. So don't hate me if nothing happens, but I sure do think it's going to be something. He said, I heard something about a media shutdown that will take place between April 1st and 10th, when a lot of indictments will be unsealed, ending on Good Friday. I'm hopeful.
Yeah, and we noticed this was last Good Friday. And guess what happened? Nothing. Because that's exactly what happens every time David Wilcock makes a prediction. Nothing happens. Some psychic.
The Alliance has authorized me and certain others getting this information to tell you this so that you don't freak out when we go into the phone lockdown part.
Yeah, there's a major worldwide military and political movement about to take place that will involve hundreds of thousands of Army personnel, Navy personnel, government people, police arresting all of these dark cabal members, right? And they want to reduce panic about these upcoming events. So who do they call on to help reduce panic and to get the word out about this? David Wilcock, the Ancient Aliens guy. Sure, sounds so plausible. Donald Trump must have called them up.
They're building this whole concept of the mass arrest around the idea of ascension. In the Law of One material, which is my source text, I've used it for many years, and I only use this text because it's so accurate. Why are you guys cherry picking a tiny little subset of the data? Cherry pick a little bit, and you look for the most negative stuff you can find, and then you amplify it. And your hair's on fire like Beaker. Oh my God.
Yeah, I used this clip too, Kate Schneider.
Come on, man. I'm not going to say it. A scapegoat. That's how he said it. My God, they made the N-word a scapegoat. And he was crying and sobbing and heaving. But what we found out was that during that meeting, He was called the N-word repeatedly, multiple times. This man, Bush Sr., was vicious. His teeth were bared. Look, you.
Oh, he's going to cry
He
now.
said all this kind of stuff to him. Now it is one of the most heartbreaking things.
Oh,
I mean, honest to God.
honest to God, it's so. Look, switch to a close-up for the crying scene. Who does that?
I know this is true, folks.
This is so fake. Oh, I'm going to cry. Because somebody
He
called
did not
Obama
deserve
the
that.
N-word.
But Obama, what the hell are you doing, man?
So
You need
ridiculous.
to stop this shit. If you study the letter that I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, then I would recommend going and looking. But, they threatened him. And, it's very, very sad because they told him that he would be killed if he resisted the plan. And his family made a decision that he was not going to participate in what he wanted to do, which was to bring them down. They hazed him very badly in the beginning. They buzzed Air Force One. And there's a whole other thing that I'm going to do later on about that. You look at the look on this man's face and you think about what he was about to do.
Cry again.
It's crazy. I'm sorry, folks. Sorry.
I'm sorry, but laughing at David Wilcock fake crying never gets old.
I don't like this. I don't like talking about this stuff. Some things I don't mind talking about. I don't like talking about this. What the hell are you doing, dude? You got to stop this. You can't. You got to make those calls and you got to think about what you're doing. You have to think about the steps that you people are taking and what you think is okay to get to the goal that you think you have. For God's sake, take the deal. Take the deal and stop this.
Take the deal.
There's a lot of people who are going to be able to get out of this, okay? But you have to take the deal and you have to cooperate. You're going to lose. You're not going to win. And you are just sore losers and you are not being in integrity. But you don't care. And you're putting us all through hell and it needs to stop. But if you don't do this,
this crying is
we
great.
are screwed, man.
We're screwed.
I don't know how bad it's going to get. They're gonna make it so scary to go to a polling place that nobody wants to go to vote because you're going to get shot. I take that back. Let's when we go back, we'll edit that part out. No, we can't do that. It's live. You think I want to talk about this? You think I want to be up here on this fucking camera talking about this shit?
Watch a cursing, David.
Sorry.
We don't curse here.
I didn't know it was going to get like this. I didn't know it was going to get this bad. And I'm the positive guy. I mean, I always try to make it positive.
He seems real positive right
But this
now.
is just crazy. The quadra gays, yes. But nothing gay is going to happen. It's only the title. Anyway, wow, I got to stop. You have to use the orgasmic energy, apparently. There's something about the orgasmic energy. Rub-a-dub-dub, 4 minutes. I'm not even going to go there, okay? There is a monster under the bed. You can look at it if you want to, but it's really going to gross you out, and you're probably going to want to puke. Honest to God. Thank you for being here. It's been total chaos ever since. Go back to the slide.
Oh, yes, the
Okay,
airplane.
well,
This
what
is a
would an
great one,
airplane
too.
think? I don't know. What kind of airplane do you think we should ask? I might have an airplane that looks a little familiar to you. If this airplane could only talk after all the time that's gone by, if this airplane could talk, what would it say?
Cameron 4!
What would this particular airplane have to say if there was a previous tenant that was in this airplane before? And maybe the other guy was in this airplane sometimes before. Let's just ask, let's just.
You're crap. You're failure.
So, okay. Yeah, I get it.
Shut up. I'm in charge.
I gotta know.
Oh, no.
Did strange things happen in there?
Nobody
I'll
knows,
eat
Scott
your ass.
Hernandez.
Really?
I will eat your ass.
Really?
I will eat your ass like corn on the cob.
No way.
Oh, no.
Right in there. In there. the crazy stuff. If airplanes could talk, I will crawl naked over broken glass. It would have been fine if it wasn't for you meddling kids. She actually said that. I was there. Scooby thinks that it's a monster, you know, oh, give me Scooby snacks. They're psychopaths. Do you get it yet? You cannot be gay. You don't get to complain. You don't even get to have a voice if you complain. We're going to take that away from you. Wow, I can get both of them going. Look at that. I can do it both at the same time.
He makes too much money for the garbage that he does. Look at that.
Isn't that amazing? How does he do that? How is it even possible? And why is he so awesome? And now I'm jealous, desperate, and needy.
Yeah, he was talking to a toy
all the
airplane
time
during a live stream.
Well, yeah. Well, we're not going to talk about all that stuff. My wife wants to go for the jugular. I'm not ready for that yet. I know.
Apparently, his wife has more balls than he has, which I find funny. She also has a deeper, more manly voice than he has. Take from that what you will, but she sure does.
I know what you're talking about. And by the way, you can be going on all different camera angles as I do this. Just keep taking it from different shots. And let it go.
Because, you know, nothing helps a peace meditation like having 4 or 5 camera angles of you meditating, right?
But wait a minute. Oh, there's so many things I could say, folks. And I said I'm not going to do any fundraising, so I won't. I got to not do it. I'm David Wilcock. Thanks for watching.
Oh, no.
I don't know if I can say this, but I mean, he's already said this before, that Ben built spaceships that we're using in this off-planet situation, which is, you know, when you really find out what's going on and what's happening on Earth, it's very depressing, and it totally fits with biblical prophecy, because it appears that both gray aliens and reptilians are feeding on human bodies. That's one of the things that you learn. We need to get rid of...
Yeah, this reminds me, I now have the phone number and email contact information from people from Stavati Aerospace. And tomorrow I'm calling them and I'm going to ask them if their CEO made spaceships that are being used in a space battle with reptilian and gray aliens that are eating people. I'm doing that tomorrow and I'm going to record it. This is the wacky world of David Wilcock. He's telling people that the CEO of the company he's invested in to build these hover cars built spaceships, 3,500 spaceships that are being used to wage war against the Draco reptilian aliens and the gray aliens who are right now eating people on planet Earth.
These human traffickers. We need to get these aliens out of here because they are demons, and it's worse than you think. What's going on with the border? Most of those people are not going to become American citizens. That's what they call a meat wagon. And I heard about meat wagons back in 2010, that they let people through the border, they put them on a bus, they drive them into an underground base, and whatever happens from there. These human-looking extraterrestrials are soaking in a liquid bath that's made from human bodies. This is apparently what...
There's some human shakes. They're drinking human smoothies.
Do to survive. That's why their DNA is breaking down, is that their genetics, they cloned themselves off of a small subject pool. But the part that we don't know is that the way that they try to stay alive is by using human growth factors.
I agree, Homo Troius. This is Kate Schneider's video.
We, as in our secret government,
great job,
have made the Greys an alternative option that can keep them alive, but they don't like the taste. Okay, I'm going to tell you something really dark, and I'm sorry, but what's happening is that those UFOs are pulling up to corrupted U.S. military elements, and then they pick up their payment from the ship, if you follow what I'm saying by payment. They're picking up their payments. Our military is doing this. We took a crappy deal. We took a horrible deal.
Yeah.
And we now have enough technology that we can actually get rid of these people and stop the payments.
Yeah, our military is helping aliens eat humans. Sure they are. Sure they are.
But in order to do that, we're going to need a civilian space force. We're going to need a civilian-led, or at least a civilians with military, so that we can go against corrupted aspects of our own infrastructure that are actually cooperating with these beings and using this for their own sustenance, I guess. And wouldn't you know, I got a tractor driving right behind me. There is a war going on with the Draco right now, and Pete would talk to me about this. And he said that we were winning.
I love when he cites Pete Peterson a dead man, because nobody can check with the dead man if he actually said any of this, or if David Wilcock is just making this up and saying that a guy who's already dead told him that. Bad sourcing. And by the way, even if he was still alive, Pete Peterson was a complete and total fraud and didn't do anything that he claimed he did on his biography. He's a fraud, and he was a senile old man that David Wilcock milked for stories about aliens. And to show you what a great person he is, it wasn't enough for David Wilcock to milk a senile old man for years for fake alien stories. After the guy died, he's milked him even more. And nobody can check because the guy's dead.
There's about, from what Pete said, there's about 3,500 of these ships out there that Ben built, at least, that we're using. And he said there's Americans all over the galaxy.
I agree, Kate. That is ridiculous. It's so stupid.
Colonized 65 locations off planet Earth throughout the galaxy, and that each one of these locations typically will have at least 3,500 soldiers there.
Yeah, and I just want to say, if Pete Peterson lied about everything in his biography, why would you believe anything he has to say about off-world human colonies on different planets? If he can't even tell you the truth about what he's done in his life and career, and everything in that Pete Peterson's biography was a complete and total lie and fabrication, then why would you believe anything he had to say about aliens? It's so stupid. But that's how stupid apparently David Wilcock is.
So the big thing is to fight these reptilians. In fact, I just got a whole bunch of new information on the Draco today, believe it or not. They are distributed
Liars do, Angel
all
Brian.
throughout the constellation Draco. And apparently the reason the
Draco
constellation
phase.
Draco was named that way is because
Exactly.
there's a lot of them out there. One of the main contingents of Greys that are here
Could be
they're working with
Complizaire.
our secret government. They require human protein to survive, or so they think. But they like the taste. They soak in it like a bath. I don't know how they prepare it. I don't know. They don't need, so the Greys apparently don't need
3,500 ships and soldiers.
In the preparation of the food. But the reptilians do. The reptilians, they prefer to eat meat, whereas the Greys actually do kind of like a blended human shake.
A human smoothie, yeah, got it.
So I'm sorry to talk about this, but I feel like I got to get this out somehow. You know, if something happened to me, I want to
yeah, they fought the Dracos with laser pistols, of course.
Hey, it's your buddy. Real debut of our anti-gravity and free energy company. This is not a hoax. We're actually moving forward,
people giving them
using
money.
Technology,
Yeah.
get them out to the public. And so I'm here today just to remind you, add these questions. Look over here. You know, I don't expect you to have 4 camera angles like this. So I want to share with you a video that I shot in our secret hangar. It won't be secret for a whole lot longer, but you know, we're just trying to not let it be
Same
too
shirt,
obvious so
same
that our enemies
liar,
don't get a
yeah.
head start. And I am here in our undisclosed location, which is codenamed Snapper. And this is the future, folks. This is where we're going to be prototyping your hover car that we would like to have ready for commercial development at an affordable price in the not too distant future, hopefully within 4 years, and a working prototype within 1 year. As you can see, I was not lying to you. Hello! We will be hoping to sell you hover cars very soon. I can't actually live in the building. And our zoning regulations don't allow that.
Always start. I love this. Lord Ludicrous Platt says, always start your business pitch with "This is not a hoax." Yeah, I wasn't lying to you. Unidentified S4. Kate Schneider gets an Emmy for this. Bravo, Kate. Kate, you got to let me download this and put it on my channel. I will give you a credit. I'll thank you, whatever you want, but we got to put this on my channel so more people see it. I'm sad that not more people have seen this, and I would love to share it. So let me know what you think of that. He's reading the teleprompter. There
I
we go.
believe that what you're seeing here.
Look at this.
is-
This looks like a G.I. Joe toy, doesn't it? It looks like a G.I. Joe Manta toy. There was a G.I. Joe toy that flew both in the air and also could go underwater. It was a Cobra thing. I think it was like a Manta, I think it was called. This looks strangely just like a G.I. Joe toy I had when I was growing up.
a totally feasible machine, a totally feasible device. So this is the holy grail. As part of the aerospace community, we don't only want to pitch foreign countries, we also want to pitch the United States on our products. To be perfectly honest with you, we haven't had the kind of interest and participation from the United States investors that we had wanted. I performed, and then now we have some new investors. You have to use the orgasmic energy, apparently. There's something about the orgasmic energy. You know, rub-a-dub-dub, 4 minutes. I'm not even going to go there, okay? But I'm your deadbeat dad. I've never met 45. It didn't quite happen. But I had a dream years ago where it said I was one of the founding fathers of anti-gravity. I would be seen as one of the founding fathers.
Oh no, he's the founding father of
aerospace,
anti-gravity.
In order to do engineering, it can cost like $2 billion a prototype. Engineering is incredibly expensive, and the main reason is because a lot of people don't know what they're doing. And it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well.
Thanks, Kate
It
Schneider.
is very expensive to make new jets, but from all the people who I've spoken to on the inside, it's a commonly held belief that Ben is the premier aircraft or spacecraft designer on Earth today.
Yeah, he's the premier aircraft or spacecraft designer on Earth today, who's had an aircraft company for 25 years, but he's never produced a single working airplane. I'm sorry, but anybody who produced a working plane is a better designer than him. This is garbage. His statements are garbage.
I want to show you, first of all, a 3D version of
Oh,
a
he's going to
craft
show
that
us
we
his G.I. Joe
designed. We'll
toys
actually
now.
travel through space if we so desire. I was very proud of myself. This was the first time I've been able to get the 3D printer to make one of these. Now, wait a minute, David. That looks kind of evil. That looks like the devil's pitchfork. What the hell are you all doing here? This is a plane that is literally capable of traveling at Mach 4. This will be the fastest airplane as possible. So this is what you would use if there's a sudden spontaneous invasion and you barely have enough time to get your guys into the jets. I'm a retard, okay, so y'all can laugh.
He put the wings on backwards, but he's going to produce anti-gravity engines and free energy devices, right? And he doesn't even know which end of the airplane the wings go, right? Great.
The wings on upside down. This is before Ben. I said, could we please make some, like special part on the wings? It's like a square notch that we can put it in. He did. So the engines are upside down, but I just thought, I don't know, maybe they work that way. When I thought about it more,
a guy who doesn't know which way airplane engines go is telling us that he's going to produce working hover cars within 1 year. Sure he is.
Didn't make any sense. But anyway, it turns out that people don't really know how to make airplanes very well. Now, I had no idea that when I printed these out, that any pattern would emerge. This is actually what happened. If you look at the image of the first three, so there's a...
Oh, this is his fake Jesus stuff. Yeah, just like people see Jesus in toast. He saw Jesus in a 3D print because he didn't clear and clean the print bed.
Plate. So obviously I'm not... The Jesus statue is already there in our house. I'm talking now about the plastic below Jesus.
Oh, and I love this. I pointed this out. Look, he's got a pot lighter. Who's smoking pot, David? Is that you with the pot lighter or your wife? Not that there's anything wrong with that, but he has at various times been very, very critical of people who smoke cannabis. And here he is with a cannabis lighter in his house. Is that a coincidence? I don't think so, but whatever. I'll forgive him if he takes a tote. Nothing wrong with that. Oh, there's nothing wrong with it, but don't go attacking people who do that when you got pot lighters in your house. For what reason?
Because they're on the back side of this model of what looks to me an awful lot like the crucifix, right?
Or it looks like a bunch of random dust that you just decided was the crucifix, you dummy.
This is really incredible. I mean, I don't know what the hell to make out of this. This does not appear to be an accident. This is no bluff to try to raise money for no reason. My wife and I actually were down to our last $3,000 before we started this course. So it was a pretty dire situation.
By the way, we can see from the paperwork of his charity that that is a complete and total lie, because his charity has something like $40,000 on hand still today. So he just straight lied through his fake teeth right here, saying they're down to their last $3,000. Maybe in personal funds, but they got $40,000 in charity funds, and seeing as how they spent, I don't know, nearly $150,000 any way they wanted, or $100,000 any way they wanted, why would they not be able to spend the 40 on their own personal expenses, as they have been doing for 3 years, and we caught them doing?
And, you know, the way that it got timed was it just happened to work out. I might not actually be your deadbeat dad. That was more of a figure of speech. In this video that will become part of history if we do end up doing the Wright brothers of anti-gravity. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on Sunday.
Turn it off, Elizabeth. Oh, what a great video. Thank you for letting us share this, right? Kate Snyder, you got to let me, I'm going to take that from your channel and do some extra work to it. Maybe put some music to it and then put it on our channel here. I think that would be great. Liz G pointing out he's got veneers. Yes, according to him, the cabal stressed him out so much, and fighting the deep state stressed him out so much that he ground his teeth in his sleep down to nothing, so he had to get new fake teeth. That's what he said. Don't, you know, that's what he said. I'm going to share one more video here, and we're going to, again, cite fair use. This is a new clip video that we're going to be premiering tomorrow here on our channel. And this is done by Spooky. So let's cite fair use. This is a transformative work. We are educating the public about David Wilcock and his possible financial fraud that he's performing between his company and his charity in order to avoid paying income tax. Let's check it out. All right. So I'm going to pop out of here and we're going to premiere this. This is a world premiere, new video. Amazing. It's amazing. Okay. Here's intangible assets. He's saying that they have $7,482 in intangible assets. Tangible assets for a charity are usually like stocks, bonds, you know, something like that. Some asset that's liquid or could be liquidated. Here's where we get really interesting. Due from Divine Cosmos LLC, beginning 0. Due from Divine Cosmos LLC, ending. Apparently, his for-profit business donated $33,246 to his nonprofit charity. Now, what does that mean? That means that his business gets a big tax write-off for a $33,000 contribution to his own charity. That's right. Gets out of paying more taxes. It's not enough for him to get out of paying all the taxes on the $150,000 that he and his wife collected tax-free and spent on whatever they wanted. He had to donate from his for-profit business to his nonprofit charity $33,000 so that he could get out of paying more taxes he owes the federal government, or would owe the federal government.
We have taxes to pay, to be honest with you, so please come on in and help us out so we don't go in debt. Everybody needs money, and I know everybody gets mad online if you charge for anything, but that's why we try to keep it as inexpensive as possible for you. If you buy this course, you're getting us $333 closer to the Hawaii planet, okay? Sometimes I got to be direct.
Yeah, what can I say? I think that perfectly encapsulates what I think about David Wilcock's income tax evasion plans. Um, and I don't understand how this guy keeps getting away with all this. He collected and spent $100,000 on whatever he wanted. He collected 150,000. They gave at least they claim they gave $7,000 to actual charity, which means that he still has 143,000, but I think he spent over $100,000 to the best of my recollection, based on his own records that he has released. Him and his wife spent over $100,000 of charitable donations on whatever they wanted. $10,000 in supplies, $4,000 on meals and entertainment, right? Thousands of dollars on software, thousands of dollars on audio and video equipment. It just doesn't make any sense to me. It makes no sense whatsoever why this man is not facing consequences for his actions. But this is the world that we live in. You know, it's a very busy world. I guess authorities are too busy dealing with real world problems to deal with this situation. But when it's pretty clear and evident that this is definitely, to me at least, appears to be allegedly, let's call it allegedly, a form of consumer fraud. If you're collecting money telling people that you're going to do charitable work with it, and then you only give 4 cents on the dollar, for every dollar you collect, you only give 4 cents of that to charity, to me, that's consumer fraud. But I'm no expert. You know, I don't know why he's allowed to continue to do this stuff. So that's where we find ourselves, friends. Yeah, and I definitely want to thank Kate for allowing us to share that. What a great video. It's just, yeah. And I apologize again for getting the date wrong. So tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we'll have our interview with Stan Gordon. And my apologies to the audience and to Stan Gordon for screwing that up. But we did manage to salvage a fun show out of nothing, which is great to know that we could do at the last minute there. So thanks to Kate Schneider and to Spooky for helping us to salvage a decent stream out of nothing, right? Lord Ludicrous Plaid says if he ever gets arrested, it will only make him more money, claiming the deep state got him. Yeah, that's what I don't know. A lot of these UFO guys who finally do get arrested. Sean David Morton claimed the deep state was involved with his arrest, and same for kitty porn collector and aficionado Stan Romanek. Stan Romanek basically claimed the Men in Black put all those pictures of children having sex on his laptops and his computers, and he didn't do it. And Stan Romanek also tried to, at one point, blame his son-in-law. Nice guy. So once again, please pardon the dead air. Trying to get through without coughing. I think I'm on the tail end of this cold. I'm going to try to rest up and get through the other end of this man cold, because I've been feeling terrible. Thanks to all who reached out to me. Quite sure that it's not COVID related. At least I hope not. My wife tested positive, and but now we've got a new COVID scare because my son has had a fever off and on, and my wife just took him to get a COVID test. So please still keep us in your thoughts and prayers. The terrible thing is that now that my youngest son has had a fever, he's probably home for 10 days from school. Unless he gets a COVID negative test, unless the COVID test comes back negative, but then I think he's still going to be home for several days this week. I don't know what's going on, and that's really difficult for me to schedule anything now because I can't schedule interviews during the day, and then they send my son home for 10 days. I'd have to cancel them because I can't, he's 5 years old. I can't leave him alone for 2 hours. Bad things could happen if you leave a 5-year-old alone for 2 hours, right? Yeah, but that's where we're at, and these are some of the challenges that we're facing, trying to keep the show going forward. Yeah, what could I say? Yeah, glitched. I believe that. So many child protectors that are actually pedos on YouTube. There's one guy that's a letter of the alphabet guy, big guy on Telegram, and he's got a previous conviction for child-related sexual offenses. So I find that kind of funny that he's on Telegram or BitChute or whatever talking about the deep state and the mole children, and meanwhile, he's a convicted pedophile. So that's where we find ourselves, friends. So I want to thank everybody for their kindness, their generosity, and support of the show. And I do, oh, there we go. Look at that. James Allister with kind and generous $4.99 super chat. Can I ask, do you believe Charles Hall tale? No, I don't. And I did a previous episode of the Midnight Hour show, my previous show. Lots of things don't make sense about him. He claimed a lot of things that don't match up. When you check into his military background, it looks like that he lied about many things in his military background. Also, I've had probably 3 or 4 different sources reach out to me and say that Charles Hall didn't write those books. His wife did, and he just tells the stories. It also would appear that Charles Hall was not a member of the Air Force as he claimed, but rather he was in Vietnam and a member of the Army, which makes no sense. Why would you be in the Army and then come out with a story about aliens and claim that you were in the Air Force and you were a weather observer? He wasn't in the classes that he claimed that he was in, James Allister, and I think that his story is largely just that, a story designed to sell books and get him conference appearances. But every time he stands up in front of an audience and claims that he was a member of the Air Force when it can't be proven that he was, and by the way, I called him on that, and he said that I couldn't get his Air Force records because I don't have a need to know. I'm sorry, James Allister, that's not the way it works. If you were in the military, anybody can get at least a confirmation that you did military service from the United States government. In his case, there is no Air Force records of him ever being in the Air Force. So take from that what you will. His Air Force claims are fake. His claims of being in Air Force weather school are fake. And he once threatened me when I asked him some questions, and then he blocked me on social media and told everybody that I was a CIA disinformation agent that was trying to stop him from telling people the truth about aliens. So take from that what you will. You always hear me say this, friends. I always enjoy it when there's an audience. Tonight we had some incredible attendance for a show that was a mistake. So today, hey, if this is as bad as it gets, I'll take it. You've always heard me say this. This is a live show, which means a live show, warts and all. You definitely made my day today, coming here and helping us get through what could have been a difficult, problem. But hey, you got to roll with the punches. We did that tonight. We still managed to salvage a fun show out of absolutely nothing and a big mistake with a guest that was like, "No, dummy, this interview is tomorrow." I'm a terrible show host. What can I say? So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us here on Truth Seekers tonight. And I want to remind you that tomorrow night at 8 p.m. we will have the interview that you showed up for today that I'm sorry we didn't do with Bigfoot and UFO researcher Stan Gordon. We'll be here tomorrow night at 8 p.m. I knew I screwed up because when he didn't answer his phone, because he is very good. Like, I can count on him. In other words, if he says he's going to do an interview at a certain time, he's not going to leave you hanging. So I knew something was wrong, and I apologize to him and to the audience, really, for the errors there. It wasn't my intention, right? But what can I say? Like I said, we do the show, warts and all. Sometimes these things happen. I'm human. Mistakes happen. I swear, when he called me, he said, "Tomorrow, we have to do this interview tomorrow." And I went, "Okay." I didn't know it was so close, but okay, I'll be there tomorrow night at 8 p.m. to do the interview. These things happen. What are we going to say? Don't cry over spilled milk, and I won't. Because we still got to come here, and I got to spend a great deal of time with the live chat here, answer a lot of questions, and talk about Bigfoot and David Wilcox. So now I have to change the title again. and maybe get a new thumbnail of Bigfoot and David Wilcock, because that would be funny. And that's most of what we talked about tonight. So I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us. I want to remind you in audio podcast land, if you're listening over there, come over to YouTube, put Truth Seekers in the YouTube search bar. Look for me, the strange guy with sunglasses, smash that notification bell, smash that subscribe button, and you too will know when we're having a live chat, and you too can come and be a part of it. I also want to remind everybody that there are ways to support us. You could join me on Patreon for as little as $1 a month. You could throw money at me in that live chat with a super chat, or you can send a PayPal donation. And I want to thank every single person who has supported our show. This is a viewer-supported show, and I'm blown away by support all over the world from people who want to see us continue with the show. Thank you all for your kindness, your generosity, and your support. I'm going to bounce on out of here. And I'm going to look at my calendar and try to figure out why I'm so disorganized, and try to organize myself a little better. Again, my apologies. Please tune in tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to hear the interview with Mr. Stan Gordon. I'm sure we're going to have a great talk. So until next time, friends, my name is Stephen Cambion. Good night, and God bless all of you.